Welcome back. My next guest is Nestor Aparicio, always bringing the noise from parts unknown. You'll never know where this man is all over the globe as he loves to travel. But, Nestor, big story broke as you and I have been talking now for over a year. Lamar Jackson finally tagged by the Baltimore Ravens.
Well, and not just tagged, right? The
Hmm.
non-exclusive versus the exclusive. You and I got into some of the esoterics of all of this. So much happened in the first 2 hours. Like it happened at 3:30, whenever it was, and I text Luke and I'm like, "You want to do a segment right now?" He's like, "Ness, I really want to think about this. I want to examine because I don't want to be knee-jerk about it because I hadn't really thought so much about it." The thing I didn't think about, and it took me into the over, and it took me till dinner time. I got on the yoga mat, I got off, got a little fresh
Mm.
from over the east side of town, and I thought about things, and I did some more reading, and I thought, I didn't put the Colin Kaepernick collusion part of this. I didn't factor that in last week when you and because we just think they're on the up and up. I mean, they got gambling now. And then you go back to like, hey, Ness, why don't you have a press pass? They're not on the up. They don't have any integrity. Oh, what about the cheerleaders? What about John Gruden? Oh, what about Robert Kraft? Oh, what about Deflategate? What about any of these things? The thing they hate the most is giving the players money. And they hate the Players Association above and beyond any war they have with each other. Because Pittsburgh and Baltimore, they love each other. They all get together and count their money. The real war they have is with the Players Association, who's out to get their money, right? They are the robber barons, right? And guaranteed money. Oh my God, it's almost like all of these taboos we've ever had in the world, right? I didn't consider the original sin. I didn't consider like, Arthur, we're going to be making some moves with our quarterbacking position. I'd really appreciate it if you didn't, if you we're all partners, right? I mean, so I didn't consider what everything that happened from the time I got thrown out of the owners' meetings cocktail party last year, seeing Steve Bisciotti a little distressed that day and talking so much about Deshaun Watson the next day that, 49 weeks later, suddenly the Falcons don't need a Lamar Jackson and the Carolina Panthers wouldn't need a Lamar Jackson and the Saints don't need a Lamar Jackson because they already got a Derek Carr. So
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of this, Dennis, but the one thing I didn't have on my dance card was he'd be more internet popular than he would be owner popular in regard to who wants to employ him and who wants to guarantee him money for whatever reason, legitimate or not.
Well, that's because the internet people don't have to go and escrow 200 plus $1 million, right? They don't have to do that, and Steve Bisciotti or someone else does. I don't think it's well. Is it collusion? I think there's always some form of collusion by the owners, but there's also some collusion by the players and the NFLPA, right? And this is the CBA that the players ratified. Let's not forget that. Also, Derek Carr just got himself a 4-year deal with only 100 million of it guaranteed. And going backwards, Russell Wilson didn't get a fully guaranteed contract. Neither did Kyler Murray, Nestor. So I don't know how everybody can all of a sudden scream collusion, although there may be a form of that. But where it comes to Lamar Jackson, the last 3 contracts post the Deshaun Watson mega deal haven't been fully guaranteed.
I guess I just didn't take into consideration just how not just how business oriented these men are, but how united they usually like to be, whether
Yes.
it's in beating up Al Davis, beating up Art Modell, moving a franchise, not moving a
Sure.
franchise, orchestrating Stan Kroenke to LA and not caring what the bill is. Whatever it is, they can write a check for it. The one thing, and you and I have talked about this at length, is they always will look to suppress labor costs. And that is at the heart and the soul. It's the most important thing they can do to be profitable is to toe the line. And the baseball owners got in trouble for that, as I remember back when I went on the radio 30 years ago. To your point, there's always some level of
Sure.
sharing of information. The agents do it. It's, we now have tampering periods. We've gone beyond what tampering is. We've accepted tampering as part of this. Tamper was the word I use when 5 teams throw out their bunkies that yell, "Get the dog off of our hydrant," because like we're not in for 232. We're out. We're out at that level. And that brings us full circle, Dennis, because I want your thoughts. It's your show, but we're going to run this all weekend. And it's sort of first blush. You and I will get together next week. We have more thoughts, and maybe there'll be more that shakes out of it. I found it fascinating how much PR, above and beyond Chad Steele, that was going on around the league in regard to, we want him, we don't want him, we're in, we're not in. That's from ownership. The owner sent a text to a reporter, like figuring out where all the sources came from and what's true and what's not, because nobody's going to say they're in on him. And Eric clearly talked to some people last week and then did this. And it's something you talked about, maybe more than anybody else I knew, the non-exclusive tag. And the amount of money that they've allowed themselves to not have to cut players this week on behalf of a player they might not keep.
Sure.
Really complex, isn't it? It's really, really complex.
It is, but I'll defend the collusion theory in this regard. If I'm the owner of if I'm Arthur Blank, if I'm Arthur Smith, the coach of the Atlanta Falcons, I've got a young quarterback and Desmond Ryder, whatever his name is. I don't want to have freaking out that we're going to bring in Lamar Jackson. So I do think that these clubs, although they made statements they're not interested, doesn't really mean that they're really not interested, right? From a strategic standpoint, I wouldn't want to signal to my opposition that I'm going to go hard after Lamar Jackson. There's some smoke there between the Falcons and the Ravens, as an example. So to me,
well, that's why the Falcons peed on it right away, right?
They did
For a lot of reasons. For every reason you just mentioned, for every reason they said, right, we have a quarterback, we're not interested. We're not interested at that level, right?
Of course. Why would you want to signal if your intent is to go after Lamar Jackson? Why would you want to signal that, Nestor? But I think the good thing for the Ravens is in life and business, we try to control the controllables. The controllable is this. Now they're on the hook for $32 million potentially for Lamar Jackson, which means they have to restructure. They have about a week to restructure some contracts, cut some players. It's a far cry from the $45 million tag. So the Ravens have to move forward, and they're moving forward, whether it's going to be with Lamar Jackson or not. The wild thing in this whole situation, Nestor, is does he ever sign the tag? He doesn't have to sign the tag. That's the one key element. He can sit out the entire season, and he is that guy that would actually do that. And if I'm the Ravens, that's what scares me the most. That's why if they can get somebody on the offer sheet, on whether they sign it, they take the 2 first. But unless Lamar Jackson signs the offer sheet, they're stuck in the mud.
If they get 2 first, they're a bit of a laughing stock, but there's a point where Correct. You and I have talked way off the plank for Luke, right. And it's been beautiful having Luke, because it's really, we just disagree, and I own a business and you run a business, and like there's just a different, fans think whatever. I mean, God, I see all sorts of crazy stuff. Somebody was quoting John Harbaugh's quotes about Tyler Huntley and how great he, just crazy stuff. But and what people are willing to believe and what they legitimately could believe, given everybody's playing PR. It's almost like watching Fox News and watching CNN, and everybody gets an opinion and they get in on it wherever they are in it, they get dug in. And the biggest issue for me has always been, where's your heart? Does he want to be here, and do they want him here? I think there came a point where they felt like he didn't want to be here, and then they didn't want him here. And I will stick with that until the point they give me wet ink on a $165 million guaranteed deal for him. And Steve Bisciotti puffs on his cigar and says, we won the bluff. We love that kid all along. If that happens, then God bless them. I don't have any hint that they're in love with the kid anymore. And taking 2 ones back and Eric slinking off and saying, we didn't get the deal done, later on putting out one of their bunkies to write the hit piece when Lamar's quarterbacking in week 3, saying, Lamar wasn't happy here, and that's what we did. We needed to make a move because we didn't feel he was happy here. And that they're going to blame it on the kid. That's what they're going to do if
They
there's
are.
a divorce. That's what I see. So you got to have a crystal ball. I could sit in the middle of the highway and say, well, I don't know. I'm reading tea leaves here because it's what I've been paid to do for 31 years. In the old days, I probably would have a better idea. Maybe not at this level because they don't want anybody to know anything, to your point. Nobody wants, this is incendiary. I mean, it wasn't a couple of hours after it was released. Now there's what's really going to happen. And if he comes back with $145 million of guaranteed money, which is legitimate from Atlanta anywhere, after Derek Carr got his money the other day, and other guys
Yep.
are, and everybody's waiting. I mean, Herbert and Burrow, those guys are waiting in line. Whatever the number will be that he will accept and say, that's a good tax situation for me. That's a place I can win. Yes, I'll take that deal. And to your point, he hadn't signed a franchise. We don't know who the hell he's even getting on the phone with now. I mean, like
Right.
all of that structural part of how a deal can possibly happen when he doesn't have an agent, right? And what smoke signals and PR people and legal people and owners, and how do you get to an owner to negotiate a deal if you don't have all of that, where we will be if the Ravens just take 2-1s and roll. That would
Well,
speak for itself. It really would. And how
well,
they
let's
feel
keep
about
in mind. Let's keep in mind if the number is 145, the Ravens would have to match the offer. They would not let him go for an extra 12 million bucks over their supposed highest offer, as far as we know. So they would have to sign him. And the question then becomes: does he show up, or does he sit out? He still holds all the keys to the castle. He can hold this franchise up for a long time. If he sits out, that cap number still counts against the Ravens. It's on the books,
well,
and that's what I'm
anybody
saying
that
to you.
wants him on the cheap for draft picks, if you feel like I love that kid and I have to have him and I need a quarterback, and they all wanted Watson, right? Like all of them bent over
Which
for
is
that
which is
criminal,
insane.
right? And
Insane.
now none of them want Lamar, right? At least in the
Mm.
public eye and the first night. That getting Lamar and the Ravens get 2-1s and you get Lamar at market, whatever market is, you got a franchise quarterback in a box, right? Who hasn't played in the playoffs, who hasn't played the last, like all of the check marks and all of the send out stupid tweets, whatever it is, right? But you get the kid, you love the kid, you bring him in, you give up 2-1s. Is that a bargain? I don't even know. I mean, it is to the buyer that loves him. It feels like the Ravens got fleeced a
May
little bit.
maybe said the farmer, but keep in mind if interest in him upticks, whether publicly or privately, Nestor, the Ravens can also ask for additional compensation. They can ask for 2-1s plus a player or two, whether it's the Buccaneers giving up one of their wide receivers
Yeah,
or
we'll walk
uh,
away. Right. You give us
yeah,
another deal, we'll walk away. He's yours for
yeah, he's
145
yours.
and
He's
right.
yours.
Okay.
Yeah, the Panthers,
Otherwise, he's ours because
right?
we
The
love him long time and we've told everybody we
correct.
love him. And I saw
Love him
Eric
a
and
long
John
time.
tell me we loved him last week. We still love him. Like,
When's the last time you saw Ozzie Newsome given a radio interview? When's the last time we saw that? I thought that was very strange. He
what
appears on
was
the
that
Bernie.
about? Yeah, I saw
He
he
appears
it
on the
was
Bernie Kosar
it
show.
was
He
the
had
old teammate though. Come on
yeah,
now.
but still, up out there giving an opinion on Lamar Jackson publicly. Um, the Wizard of Oz making an appearance like that, a public appearance, was head
It was
scratcher for me,
almost like the
Nestor.
Great Wizard making an appearance in general, like he did in the
It
movie.
was like okay, they're bringing out the big guns now. They're the super big gun, right?
The
The
Great
guy that
Oz.
guy that's won two Super Bowls, who's beloved, and was he used by the owners, by ownership, to say, hey, this isn't collusion. This is we're putting the great Ozzie Newsome out there on the front line to take live questions from Bernie Kosar.
It's not like Ozzy would ever lie in a negotiation or anything, right?
Never,
Just talk
never.
to any agent ever who hated Ozzy, which was
Uh,
most of them. They
just
all hated Ozzy. Ozzy was not popular among agents because he was tough.
of
Because
course
he
he
would
was.
say,
Right player,
right player,
right
right
price,
price.
right price. He's
And
still
he would
saying right
say,
player, right
you know
price.
what Ozzy would say? I got a deal done with everybody. Ray's here, Suggs here, whoever,
Yeah.
the guys we've wanted to have a deal done with, we got deals done. Oh yeah, and the guys we didn't, let's see, Gary Baxter, we didn't get done. Let's see here. Edgerton Hartwell, Bart Scott, it was a
Quite a few.
handful.
Quite a few.
We have no problem walking away from the player, right price. But that was offensive to a lot of people. In the
It
same way
was.
that you predicted, my God, they're going to tag this kid at 32 million. He's going to be wildly offended,
You
right?
think? You think his ego took a shot? You think he was shocked? He was expecting the exclusive tag if not the guaranteed
You don't
contract?
think
He's got
Eric
neither.
explained this to him and the Players Association explained to him that he's probably going to get the non-exclusive because they don't want to cut more players. They didn't want to chop $13 million
There's the
worth
team
of
issue, right?
players off
There's
the
a
team.
team issue, right? Of course, when the individual worried about his money, his bag, he's not worried about the team, right? He's not worried about giving the team that took a shot at him a team friendly deal at this point, is he? He just wants the most for himself. Although he's left millions of dollars in terms of endorsements since day one because he doesn't have an agent. And this notion that yeah, the NFLPA is backing them, you don't have an agent. You've got guys who are using you as a pawn to try to set a precedent and a new norm for the NFL in terms of guaranteed contracts for quarterbacks. He doesn't realize that he's being used as a pawn by the NFLPA.
Let's talk about him a little bit because we don't. I mean, I've seen his tweets. I see where his attention is. To call him unsophisticated would be not cultured of me, but it doesn't. I don't see any level of trust, big trust, right? And this goes back to I don't think he trusts anybody, right?
No.
Like, you know what I mean? Like to give 1% of a $200 million deal for the expertise, or to even just say, look, bro, I'm going to give you $500,000. Go make me a deal. Go make my best deal. Let me sit down with 30 of you slime ball agents, all of you, from Rosenhaus to all of you. I'm going to take a month of my life and have dinner with every one of you to see if I like any of you, to see if any of you people I can trust. Can I trust Jay-Z? Is there somebody I can call to trust? I think he trusted the union, right? In the end, of all his mother, Eric DaCosta, Steve, people he wouldn't and probably shouldn't trust, right? I mean, I can tell you right now, you shouldn't trust Eric DaCosta, Steve Bisciotti, or John Harbaugh. I can tell you that, right? I promise you can't trust them. I'll make that pronouncement. I've had a personal experience of it. So, but you have to trust somebody. You have to trust somebody, right? Like, and he hasn't trusted anybody. So I do think in this case he trusted the union. And I don't, for better for worse, who's he trusting? He's got to be listening to somebody. He's not just cozied up with his girlfriend reading things on the internet. I don't think. Maybe he's not that sophisticated enough, but I haven't seen him walking out of an office anywhere with an agent. I haven't seen any agent say, in any way, be linked to him in any way to help him. There's been a lot of people that go out on the internet and say they want to help him, whatever. But this is it's about this kid. He doesn't trust anyone. And to your point, he would already have more money in the bank. He'd have a deal. He'd be in Canada.
Yes.
He'd be out with his girlfriend in Fiji having a good time, studying his playbook, getting to know Todd Monken and trying to win a championship. And instead, he's fighting for money he would have already probably had. But I don't know. And again, I think these guys are sleazeballs, these owners. And for whatever it's worth, they're looking to suppress him. But I also understand this, and I've said this, and I haven't said this in a long time. And I said this a lot in the 90s before I even understood it. I mean, I owned a business, but I didn't have hard times. Until you have hard times, you don't understand. I don't think, it takes 30 years to run a business, but every single free agent that's ever been signed in the history of sports, somebody overspent for that player. At every point, it's who offers the most. Maybe there's been more cases where people take a team-friendly deal because they want to stay where they are. But in every case of leaving a franchise and making the family decision to do that in sports, it's always been about Steinbrenner's nuts. He gives him too much, they're Haslam's nuts. Somebody is always, and that's the game, right? I mean, that's no offense to selling cars or radio time or anything else, but that is the game, right? The game is try to get your best deal, right? And that's at the heart of this, that Players Association thing. And the big picture of me 30 years ago reading Lords of the Realm and living through a baseball strike and the battle drums of the money, he's gotten swept up in this. Like, right? I mean, to some degree that he hasn't been protected because he hasn't had his own guy.
Well, who's got the deal here, right? The Ravens had him for 5 years for what, 35 million? Are you kidding me? Who's got the
They robbed the
better?
bank. Yeah.
They robbed the bank, got in the playoffs, right? Had the best team until they ran into the Titans, right, at home. But there was a report a couple of weeks ago, where it came out that perhaps there was a shoe company that that backed off doing a shoe deal with him because he didn't have an agent. So of course he got on Twitter like, "What are you talking about?" But my point is, where is the shoe deal, right? He should have had a shoe deal by now. Had he had an agent, he would have had a shoe deal, a car deal, an insurance deal, all these different type of deals. He would have made himself over $100 million, I would think, just in endorsements alone the first 5 years, Nestor. And all he has to show for is 35 million and whatever he kept off of that.
How much did Baker Mayfield? How much did he put in his? How much did
Oh,
Robert Griffin? And that's a different era. It was 10, 15, 10 years ago, right?
a lot more
Like,
money.
like
Well,
the
when you get
other
drafted
part of this
1-1,
is Dennis. You played daddy to that kid all last summer and told him not to play. Every time you and I got together twice a week,
yeah,
you told him, don't play for 23 million. You're leaving 20 million on the table right here, right now. And Eric sat with him last year and told him that. Eric's like, look, this really isn't about guaranteed money. If you sit upright, if you really want to make $1 billion, you're going to have to go win football games. You know what I mean? If you want to get the next
yeah.
700 million, you better go win some games. And I'm the guy to help you win games. I build players around you. I'm in for you. Here's 118, 130, whatever it is. It's 48 million a year. You're going to make 23 this year. You're 25 ahead before you even walk on the field
That's
last
exactly
year.
right.
You
That's
would have been
exactly
there.
right.
And everybody said, well, you'll get more next year. Okay, if you don't get hurt. You got hurt. You
But
didn't show up in
but
Cincinnati. Like, all of these
oh,
things have happened, and he's he doesn't trust any. I just go back. He doesn't trust anybody.
but
I
he
don't.
trusted himself to play on a chump's $23 million a year contract. I mean, come on now. You've got to be kidding me. A player of his caliber with his resume, with his 2019 MVP award, not knowing he's going to miss the last 4 or 5 games of the 2022 season. And when he went down in that game against Denver and clutched his knee, Nestor, I thought, just like everybody else, horror of horrors. He blew out all 3 ligaments. He's done. He'll never be the same. And luckily, it was the PCL, but still, all these hits he's taken the last 5 years, and
Well, how
now
did he help his negotiating stance by
he
twittering how
he
bad his
didn't.
injury was?
He
How
didn't.
did that help him?
He didn't. Well, he was trying to say, "Look, I'm really hurt. I'm not traveling with the team because I'm really hurt. I'm rehabbing," which to me was a crock. And I know Harbaugh came out last week and said defended him, but how can you not be in Cincinnati to cheer on your teammate from the bench, from the sideline, on the playoff game as a face of the franchise, as a leader of the team?
He
You
should be
hop on a
sitting in the
plane
owner's box next to Steve Bisciotti holding the towel, sitting down because his knee's
somewhere,
bad, right? Right?
somewhere, but you're
Like,
with the team. You're with the team. With a knee brace, whatever, with crutches, but on a sideline, waving a towel, cheering him on, giving advice to Huntley, Tyler Huntley, right? That's
wearing a
if you,
headset. Wearing a
yeah,
headset.
wearing a headset, being involved, engaged. You're still under contract. Well, maybe he wasn't at that point, but I mean, uh, you know what? This
Maybe
this
his
thing is
agent told him that. Maybe the
this
Players
this
Association told him
uh,
that.
the, this thing is fascinating, and just when you thought it couldn't get worse, it's gotten worse. They're not the Ravens as an organization aren't any better off. And the funny thing is the fan base. They're freaking out. I don't understand why someone can't be a Ravens fan and also a Lamar fan. It seems like most people one or the other. They're back in the Ravens or they're back in the organization. I'm backing both. I wish them both well, no matter what they do. It's
Do you
business.
think he can come back here and play? I mean, you and I have been on the plank about him
Sure.
being gone. Do you
Of
think
course I do.
that
Absolutely.
Eric and John and Steve want to give him 150 million and have
They
him
may
come
have to.
back here and be not fully happy?
They may have to just to save face. Let's say he doesn't get an offer. Let's say his best offer is 125. I mean, somebody's going to have to eat crow around here. Either him or the Ravens or both. It could be
Or
an
he
unhappy.
gets 191 a guaranteed in Atlanta, and that's enough for him, and it's way more than the Ravens are going to give him. And the Ravens get 2 picks, or they pull back and get a linebacker out of it, or they don't need a linebacker, but whatever
Wide
they get.
receiver, a cornerback. But they've got to resolve it. It's in everyone's best interest to move this thing forward very, very quickly. Because my fear is he doesn't sign, he sits out, which would be terrible for him and the team. He hamstrings the team with all that dead cap space, and becomes a year older. And players don't age well. We saw that with Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell taking a
He
year off
doesn't
was
know that.
devastating.
He's a young player. He
Well,
doesn't
that's when
know that. He doesn't know players don't
NFLPA.
age well.
You think the Players Association are telling him if you don't get the right deal, sit out? That would be horrible. That would be the worst advice they could ever give him if they care about him, which they don't care about him.
Yeah, I just keep thinking about the $25 million he left on the plate last year, got hurt, and now we're looking at it and just saying,
right,
wow.
Well, see, and if you and I are his agent, we're sticking that to the Ravens. We gave you all a $25 million discount a year ago, right? Make that up to us and then some. We showed you good faith. The player showed up. Yeah, he missed the OTAs, but he was there. He was there for training. He was there for everything. Okay. He hurt himself. He got hurt. So where's your commitment back to him? His goodwill was leaving, like you said, $25 million on the table last year. Where's the Ravens' goodwill back to him?
Well, we're gonna find out. And I don't know where this ends, but I find it it would be very awkward for him to come back and play. I mean, I believe that. And I believe, given the sensitivity of this kid over the course of time and this, like, all of what's transacted here and not showing up in Cincinnati with, like all of that, that they would just decide they're going to give him $45 million a year the next 4 years, and that they can rely on him, that they can count on him. And I don't know that John and Eric and Steve would feel that way right now. Can they count?
It's going to be very ugly. He's his own agent, right? So when whoever the GM is from the Panthers or the Falcons says to him, Derek Carr just got $100 million guaranteed. Russell Wilson got X. Kyler Murray got X, and he's going to say, well, Deshaun Watson got Z. Well, you're not getting Z. You're getting X. What do you think his mood's going to be like if that's going to be what he faces going forward?
As his own agent. In Atlanta or wherever? Whatever. Somebody's going to underwhelm him, and he has to gonna come in and have to look overwhelmed. Not overwhelmed, but
so who does he complain to? The NFLPA said, listen, guys, you guys told me I'd get my bag. I'm not getting my bag. Well, the owners are colluding against you. Okay, now what?
Now I'm down in Flowery Branch with a bunch of idiots, right? You know what I mean? Like, now I'm recruited into some place where they didn't build the system for me. They think I am the system.
Well,
does anybody think he's a savior? 31 teams passed on him. 5 years later, who is the owner that I keep saying this? Who's the owner, the GM, and the head coach that are going to bet their career on this? I keep asking that. And in the early going, all the negativity that happened right after the tagging on Tuesday night, I just keep saying, I don't know, but they all wanted Deshaun Watson last year. So these aren't normal people.
Well, let's understand this. The Ravens deal, I would imagine, I would presume, is still on the table. If their best shot was 133 or 145 guaranteed, my assumption is that deal is still there for him to compare with, and that's what it had. And I'm sure that's what the Costa said when he flew down to Miami to see him. Listen, here's our best shot. Go shop it. Go talk to 30 other teams and see what they tell you. And 16 are off limits right off the bat because most of them have franchise quarterbacks and the other ones have a settled quarterback situation. You're down to about 16 teams, and then from those 16, there are cap space considerations, right, et cetera, money considerations. So you're really down to the Falcons, the Panthers, the Colts, maybe, Buccaneers. So it's a handful of teams, only about 5 or 6 teams that can really make a play for him.
Well, and then there's the other side of quarterbacks in this draft, right? 2-3 guys that you might like if you like one of them. And the Ravens, the Ravens have historically not, they took Joe Flacco, they took Lamar Jackson, they found guys that weren't, Luck or Manning or 1-1 Burrow.
The 1-1, right? They've never drafted a 1-1 quarterback, right? They've drafted a 1.
They've never been that bad. They've never been bad enough.
Thankfully,
right?
Thankfully they haven't, right? But they'll figure it out. Stetson Bennett looked pretty good at the combine.
You love you some Stetson Bennett. You love Todd Monken. You're all about this new offense, aren't you?
I am. I really am because
what are you going to do with your Lamar jersey once he signs with the Falcons? What are you going to do with it?
Oh, I keep it and hope he continues on to a Hall of Fame career. So that way, I hope he becomes the best quarterback of all time.
What jerseys do you have? Tell me about your closet. I want to know.
God, man, I got Joe Montana from his Notre Dame days, number 3, and also number 16 with the Niners.
Okay.
Of course, I have the great Earl Campbell, number 34. I've got Lamar Jackson, number 8. I've got Terrell Suggs. I've got Ogden. I've got Reed. I've got Ray Rice. I mean, I got a lot of jerseys, I think.
I looked at my jerseys the other day because I've had a lot of them, right? So over the course of time, and I've, eBayed some off. Robbie's
Yep.
eBayed off some old hockey jerseys I had that were just, I bought them at Hoschel Cones. You know, they were really nice and cool, and all different. But I wore them, Avalanche, Panther, you know, old jerseys with my kid wearing them. So we got rid of a lot of that stuff. I have my Tony Gwynn mustard and gold
Nice.
Padres. I wear that, and it's comfortable. I bought it in San Diego. It's modern. You can wear it without a t-shirt and it doesn't itch. I have a oversized, I wish it was in my size. My wife bought it on the internet years ago. Kelly Leak, Bad News
Okay.
Bears. I have a Kelly Leak.
Okay.
Chico's bail bonds. I have one of those.
Got it.
You know, I have my own Ravens jerseys and whatnot, and like a Blast jersey that's mine. But like, as far as other players with a name and me putting on a jersey with another name, the only one I own in my whole collection is Tony Gwynn. I have an Elvin Bethea with my name on it,
Oh, very
but
good.
I wanted to tell you this because, like, you know, I get these belt buckles, right? And it's become a little bit like, I don't have any fun in my life, Dan. I'm just, you know, I'm thrown out of teams, and like, you know, I go eat crab cakes. So like, I collect these belt buckles, and it got me onto eBay, right? I've never been an internet shopper. I don't buy anything on the internet. So, which is why if I come to get a car from you, I got to come over and drive it because I'm old, right? So I go on to eBay, and I made the grand mistake 2 weeks before going to Houston to see Springsteen. I put in Houston Oilers vintage just to see what would pop up, you know, just to see like what's out there. Because I have a Houston Oilers trash can, right? Do you know about this?
That's news to me.
Oh, hold on. Talk amongst yourselves for 20 seconds. I'm going to grab it and pull. Hold on. Right here. Promote your show. Tell everybody what you got coming on in your show.
All right, man. Now, I'll tell you about some cars though. At Coons Ford of Baltimore, we've got all kind of nice cars, trucks, SUVs. The F-150, probably more F-150s than anyone else in the area. Super Duties, got the Mach E. The Broncos got all the hottest, latest and greatest vehicles here at Coons Ford of Baltimore. Lots of pre-owned, pre-loved vehicles too, as we like to say.
You know what you don't have at Coons Ford of Baltimore? You don't have the Houston Oiler original. This is a trash can.
cans.
Okay, this
I
was
like
in my
that.
bedroom when I was, when I was a young man,
What a
and
great looking trash can.
so I had everything with an Oiler derrick is great looking, right? And
Yep.
here's the thing. I mean, the Ravens, you know, I'm not running around with a purple bird on my head again while the owner has treated me in the fashion that he has, right? So
They pooped on your head long enough, haven't they?
I've done that for 27 years. So
Yeah.
I'm wearing things like Coons and the people in my family that support me, right? So, and Window Nation, and I've got lottery, scratch off, you know, and sponsors and stuff. But I've collected these belt buckles, and it's been fun for me. My wife's like, why? I said, well, they're bright and shiny objects, right?
Right.
Like we're human. Like it's like a shark, right? So the Oiler logo and all of that Oiler blue stuff is like a bright, shiny object to me, right? For the same reason anybody would want to collect whatever they collect, old Ford Mustangs, right? I mean, like, people collect things, right?
Yeah.
So I've decided this Oiler thing that I want to have a little Oiler piece of my life, and I have a whole box of all of my pom-poms, my helmet. I have Dan Pastorini's helmet from the 1973 season. You know how I
Mm.
know it? It has the marks all over it of the colors of the helmets, and they played the Vikings that year, and it has purple all over it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it has 7 in it, the number 7 in it. So I have Pastorini's helmet. It was one of those short, you know, before they wore the
Yeah.
masks.
Yeah.
So I have all these cool little trinkety things and cups and little key holders. I had my old Visa credit cards. I was an Oilers Citibank Visa credit card holder in 1988, getting
Wow.
points so I could get this with
The
150
trash can.
points, right? You
Sure.
know?
Sure.
So I would
Sure.
buy I have Oiler turtlenecks and stuff. So I went on and I found, first off, you can buy anything. It's the internet, right? I found a Warren Moon white in a medium. It's a store bought. It was a, you know, Apex One or whatever the Sandnet, whoever's making. Not a gamer, but one that would actually fit me. You know what I mean? Like the Elvin Bethea is a game worn 64 with shoulder pads. You can't wear it. You look.
It's a bit like a dress.
You look like David Byrne in the Talking Heads video, right? You know,
Yes.
what a suit's too
Yes.
big. So I'm
Sure.
trying to get something where I could like fashionably
I
roll
got you.
through in something throwback that's Oiler oriented. And that just speaks to my fandom and me getting old and wanting. I don't need albums or CDs anymore, but I need some bright, shiny object beyond big screen TVs that are $199, you know? That's why I
Well,
like all the toys in your car, because I need bright, shiny objects,
we all like the new shiny object, the new shiny penny, and that remains to be seen whether Lamar Jackson becomes that new shiny object for the Falcons, the Panthers, the Commanders. Maybe, who knows? Maybe
All
that's
these
what.
years later, I still want that one and that Warren Moon, right? All the
There you go.
years later, that's what
Hey,
I'm saying to you is that Lamar Jackson, that big 8 that you got, and the night that he literally got drafted and you went online and you bought the jersey, like, it is amazing that you could just move on and put on a Stetson Bennett hat and
of
you'll just be
course.
real
Hey,
happy
listen,
wearing it.
I'm all about the team, and my most prized jersey is the Earl Campbell jersey. I'm missing some jerseys that I'm trying to recover. Ray Lewis, Ed Reed. There's a story behind that, but right now I'm in possession of that wonderful Earl Campbell jersey, and
Does it
love
fit
to.
you? Is it like you
No,
can
no, it's
wear it?
framed. It's
It's
framed. It's in a
framed.
frame.
Oh, it's
It's
framed.
framed. It's
Okay.
signed. It's autographed. The whole kit and caboodle.
Okay.
But I am missing quite a piece of my collection. We'll talk about that another day,
I'm gonna try to
another
get Earl
time.
Campbell on the show with you and me one day, because that
I
would
would
be a
love to
thrill
talk to
for
Earl.
me. I
I would
sat on his
love to
lap
talk to
once,
Earl. Man,
and Lee
I would pin,
Steinberg's folks.
I would pin that interview just so you know. If we get a chance to talk to Earl Campbell, I would pin. I wore number 34 because of him.
All right,
In
so Dennis, I'm gonna
college,
make full
ah,
admission to you as a sponsor and a friend. I've been half-assing it the last couple of weeks, which isn't like I've been on vacation and in and out.
you know,
I haven't been
Nestor.
fully engaged and but I came back. My dad's birthday. It was on, it's my vacation time, usually in February. I take a little time down, but I'm back on the grid now. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going full out to
Let's
see if
go.
we can get
Ah,
the Tyler Rose on the
and
program.
Tyler Rose. I'm telling you, man. I was 34. Basketball, football, lacrosse, college, and high school. That was my jersey, no matter what. It looked good in football, not so much in basketball. 34, but
Maybe we could figure out a way to make a contribution to his charity and have him on or something like that. We figure
I would
something
love to do that. I would give him a personal contribution to his charity.
out. All right. Well, here I'm on
A
it.
thousand bucks. How about that? I'll put it out there.
Well, since I'm on your show here and your show's on Thursday from 3 until 5 and it's Sunday morning, this is going to play. People are going to hear this, but look out, football, here we come. Houston, see, I can still feel good about
Get
things.
those pom
So
poms.
that Warren Moon jersey, it was like $60 and the guy offered it to me for 35 and I didn't take it right away. It's still there. Nobody's bought it. The other thing that I was going to buy, and this thing is so damn good looking that I don't even know how I don't buy it, to be honest with you. I'll take you out to my eBay page and I'm going to show it to you, because when you see how good looking this thing is, I just want to show it to you because you love the Oiler Derek as much as anything. This is on my watch list. Let me pull it up for you. Here we go. I want you to tell me right now if this isn't the best looking thing that you've ever seen. I can't share. I'll share it with you next week. Okay. Do I have sharing privilege or do I not? I don't have sharing privilege. There is this beautiful blue Oiler jacket with the Derek on it and the red and white, and it's a
starter.
medium.
What was the brand?
Hold on. It might be a starter. Hold on. It's
Was it a starter? The
satin
original?
style. Hold on. I'm looking it up. Hold on here. Jacket, heavyweight satin men,
Oh, there you go.
satin style vintage. It doesn't have a name in it. I'm gonna have to look in the tag. Let me see here. I think it's Apex One. I think it was an Apex One piece. It's beautiful. It says Oilers on the back. It's $85. And I'm thinking to myself, am I going to wear it? That's all I'm thinking. I'm going to wear it. I'm going to buy it today. Dan.
You know what? The jersey I got the most comments on going to a football game was an original 1996 Eric Turner number 29 jersey.
With the serifs on it. With the
Yes.
serifs.
I bought that thing like I don't know. It had to be Dick's Sporting Goods. It was on
Well, they only made two. They made a Vinny and they made a Turner, and then they made a Zaire a little bit.
I know that.
They didn't make players. Then Ray, but right.
And this was a white jersey, beautiful with the original Ravens logo on it. And I gave it away to one of my relatives. But when I used to wear that at the stadium, I remember one time Post stopped me and just gave me the prayer sign and pointed to the sky. And that was my most commented jersey I ever wore.
Okay, so Eric Turner was the second Raven I ever met, but the first Raven I ever interviewed. So on the day when the franchise came to Baltimore, Rob Burnett, myself, Scott Garceau, and Kevin Byrne dined We dined at this really high-end place at the harbor, Dennis, Hooters, that afternoon. So yeah, so
They
he
have
was
good wings. Anyway,
so
go ahead.
Rob Burnett is my original friend, and I call him a friend because he is a friend. He means a lot to me, and we text each other often after Goose's death. And he was very close with Goose. But Eric Turner, the late great Eric Turner was the first Raven to come to my studio. Eric
Uh-huh.
Turner, Marvin Lewis was the first coach. Marvin came into my studio right after he lost the Super Bowl with the Steelers, and Eric Turner came in because Kevin was trying to get PSLs, tickets. They didn't even have a name. I don't even know if they were called Ravens the day that Turner came into my studio. But Eric Turner came into my studio over at the Sheraton. I have the tape. I should put that on the radio. He spent an hour and a half talking about Cleveland. He was an LA guy, and I gave him a hard time. Kevin told me to give him a hard time about always having West Coast time on his watch. His watch always had West Coast time because he's a
That's
UCLA
funny.
guy, you know.
That's funny.
And Eric Turner was a beautiful guy. He was a beautiful
He
guy.
was very
Really,
well
really good guy.
thought of. He really was. I'm telling you, for a Ravens mascot to stop me and do the prayers, he was very highly thought of, regarded at the facility
I
for
liked
sure.
Eric Turner a lot. And so yeah, you choked me up, Dennis. See what you do to me when I'm on your
I'm going to see
program,
if I can
you
get that
know?
jersey back. I think I have an idea. So
You're
there you
making
go.
me go on right now and just buy these two damn things for $100 and just get it done
Hey,
because
it's
I
only
want
money.
them. I keep looking at them and remember this forever. I'm going to remember significant calluses. That's your quote for the meeting. I want you to remember bright, shiny objects because that's what you
Hey,
sell. That's what
you
you
know what?
sell.
Send me the links. You know what? It'll be my early Christmas gift to you.
Oh
I'll be
no, no, no! I'm not having you buy me.
I'll be
No, no,
more than
no,
happy to buy
no,
them
no,
for
no.
you.
I'm
Absolutely.
buying you a burger and fries at Beaumont, and you can get the
Look,
filet if you want, but I'm getting the burger
just
and the fries at the Beaumont.
just get me Earl Campbell, and I'll be forever grateful, and I will make a contribution to his charity. Absolutely would.
I'm gonna. It's on my list this week. I have a
Okay.
huge list because I told you I haven't been lazy the last couple weeks. I've been working on some off the field issues, but I am back on the field and putting crab cake tours together and doing all the crap that I'm doing. We're doing the Terps game. We're gonna watch that up at Hollywood Casino next week at Barstool. They're a new client of ours, so we're gonna go watch the Terps and hopefully we'll have March Madness next week. We got a lot of things
Nice.
going on. There's life before, during, and after Lamar. There's more
Yeah.
going on than Lamar. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. All
So
great stuff.
good
Well, I
fun.
appreciate it. Keep doing great things. There he goes, Nestor J. Aparicio here at 1570 AM. WNST will take a quick break and come back right after this.